What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Lost City's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Master-Made Fort Max. And the reason why I say Lost City is because, shout out to Jen K, he hit me up and was like, look, you seem to enjoy the Master-Made stuff, which is a fact, but you haven't looked at the Fort Max, you've looked at all the other ones. I have the Fort Max, would you like to take a look at him? And I was like, absolutely. So he's here, we're gonna take a look at him, but in order to do so, we gotta start with accessories. So for one, he comes with this ensemble. We're gonna set these two pieces aside for a second and talk about this. This can be used to plug into his back for a backpack, and then you have these armatures, obviously, and there's all sorts of articulation built into this, right? So you have hinges on the back, they swivel out so they act like universals. You have really tight, perhaps a little too tight, hinges at the bottom and swivels at the top so that you can use these and plug in these bits. And you can do this, I believe, on either side, depending on like what kind of look you want. So if you want it like this, or if you want it like this, you know, it's kind of your world. And then this becomes a backpack, which we'll show here in a second, and I'll kind of pick which way I like better. But it works either way. It's just a matter of what works for you. Peg, square, hole, square hole. Right in there, so to speak. And then you got this look, which is cool. Now, you can also remove them. Open up all of this and this, flip that, come back to the hand and kind of wrap the hand around and then tab these back in, and there's like pegs that go in those white ports there. And then he has like the faux hands. Now there is 5mm ports here so weapons can interact with it in that function, and you can also peg in stuff here, like you could have his sword in there or whatever and try to use it that way. But honestly, like it doesn't really do much for it. Let me see if I can get it just to show you now it's like me against machine, right? So you can peg him in like the weapons and have him hold it kind of in that fashion, but I don't think it does a whole lot for it personally, aesthetically. I think if you put on those, like that should kind of be the weapon in and of itself. But, you know, subjectivity and such. While he may not be able to hold his gun in his hand when he has the gauntlets on, you can peg the gun to the outside of the hand. It does protrude a fair bit away from the body and looks a little goofy, but you can do it. If you are using the hands, you can connect both of these to the backpack piece as well, so you can kind of stow those on his backpack. He comes with a gun. And this obviously incorporates into him in a number of different ways. There's a bunch of things that move and sort of transform on it, so to speak. So we'll kind of cover that here in a bit. But for the basis of this, just know that you have this peg that can peg into any of the 5mm ports on him. And you also have this handle, which can peg into the palm of his hand, you know, not unlike many other offerings. Just make sure that you got the thumb sorted, and he'll hold it just fine. He also comes with a sword, and it has green translucence. We have orange, white paint on there, silver paint as well, which is kind of what he's decorated with throughout, and we'll kind of cover that a little heavier when we get to the actual figure. Also, once again, a number of things that this can do to incorporate into the piece, but be aware that all of these pieces do come out, and some of them are better fit than others. So, for instance, let's see if I can get one. No, he's stuck. Well, I see. So, not that you would do that very often with your figures, but for instance, when this arrived to me, it was already off in the box. So just not a big deal, just something to be mindful of. And once again, he will wield this the same way that he wields the gun. Gimmicks wise, he has two light up features. One is on the chest, and he actually has the battery installed here. So you just activate it there and then reinstall it in the chest. And then put this cap back over it. I think I have it back all the way, but that's how that works. And then there's another one, and it comes with another casing. The battery's not in it, but you just open up this here. You take out this other head, and you can install that, and that'll light up the eyes. We'll show how all that works here and momentarily, but unfortunately it does have the dead eyes without the light up feature, so as a heads up. So let's talk about the figure. We have the head sculpt. It looks really nice, and we have, you know, obviously the translucent reds and stuff for the light up feature. We also have the Tampo paint and some proper red paint on there. It is on a ball peg the ball peg is inside of the neck, and the peg, or the stem rather, goes up inside of the head. So it actually does allow for some good articulation. Down to there, up to there, the swivel, confused Fort Max look, etc. Then we have the torso, waist swivel, no ab crunch, but this is an older mold, you know, so like ab crunches kind of got popularized and kind of more common in more recent years, to be fair. We have some translucent plastics for the green and the red. We have all sorts of there's all sorts of little fun stuff on this guy, like this, you know, when you pull the ramp out, and obviously we'll go through some of that when we get into base mode and such. But of course we have Tampo paint. We have the white Tampo paint, the gray Tampo paint, gray paint, orange paint, etc. No issues there. The shoulders are ratcheted universals. You can get up past 90 degrees. The swivel around, and where the universal connects to the torso is also swiveled on a hinge, swivel, so you get a butterfly joint as well. Gray paint, orange paint, white paint, and Tampo paint. Same for the side. You have a bicep swivel right above the elbow. The elbow is ratcheted. Gets you pretty much the full run. I say we give it to him. Once again, orange paint, Tampo paint, kind of standard practice right now. We have the wrists, so they hinge outward. You also have the ball peg on them, so they have an additional swivel and a little bit of additional hinge in, out, and up, down. The fingers, you have a ball peg that's on a base hinge, comes out to a ball peg rather, and then has a secondary hinge as well. The fingers are all ball peg connected at the base, and then they have a secondary hinge as well. So they will grip, you know, you get the full fold as it were, and you can kind of spread them out, right? Same for the other side. All right. Hips, ratcheted universals. Oh no, I thought they were ratcheted. Oh no, they're tensioned. My bad. Get you out to there. Jeez Louise, Papa Cheese. Forward and back to there. Thigh swivels built around the base of the universal. I love how the ugliness kind of the universal joint is hidden by the white cap here. Smart stuff. And then we have all sorts of Tampo paint with the orange and the gray, as well as the orange deco and gray deco. The knees, single hinged, but get you a wide range. Got a little bit of lube going on up in there. That stuff always makes me super uncomfortable. With figures anyway. All right. And then we have same sort of deco, gray paint, Tampo paint, etc. The feet are on ball pegs, massive ball pegs. You get an ankle tilt down with the foot, ankle tilt up, a rocker. Tampo paint kind of continues throughout, and there he is from the back, so to speak. I'm having a hard time getting this off. There are some like little kind of even with the weapons, getting them in and out of the hand. Not in so much, so to speak, but out. It has been a little bit of an issue, so something to consider, the tolerances of some of the ports and such. Size comparison, I don't really have any of this line, but if you are curious, he is slightly taller than an MP Seeker. So I believe that's larger than their Metroplex and Omega Supreme too, if memory serves. So interesting to see. All right, so let's start doing some transformations. We'll start by pulling the upper head or the Headmaster up and out of the body, and then we'll start transforming it. So bring down these pieces here. That'll start unpegging the arms. Then that'll bring down this part over top. You can start sort of pulling the arms away and spin the head. Ooh, it's getting jammed up into pieces. Around 180. As it were. Just make sure that this sort of stays connected there in the back. Let me fix that. Extend the legs. They're actually tabbed into the pelvis, so you can bring them down as well. And then you need to open up this flap. Why is this giving me such a hard time? There. And then this foot comes down. And the heel flips out, and you close the flap back, and you're going to go ahead and do that on, God bless. I've never had a mastermate give me these sorts of problems. Out. Bring the foot down. spin the heel out. And then back. And then the arms come up on a double hinge. As you do so, manipulate the shoulder around. And you gotta flip these hands out, which is also a bit of a bear. At least for me, anyway. So, around, flip these out. And then I think these you just lay flat up against the arms. I'll clean them up, we'll take a look at them. So, let's go through this guy. The head is on a ball peg. No, it's on a hinge that swivels from a peg. I'm sorry. So it's basically a makeshift universal. Blue paint on the eyes, orange plastic there, I believe. So you get the swivel. It does bump up against the shoulder pieces, so it is a bit limited down and up. And then you have the shoulders themselves that are on ball pegs and connect here at the base of the shoulder, so you should be able to get them pretty far up and then swivel them around. Because of the ball peg, you do get a slight butterfly forward and back. Tampo paint there on the side. No bicep swivel. You do get a single hinged elbow, and I should have these out to the side, right? A single hinged elbow, so that works fine. And then the wrist kind of hinge in and out. The waist here is on a ball peg, so you get a little bit of ab crunch back and forth, plus the swivel. You also get T-jointed ball joints for hips that get you limited out to the side. Fair amount front and back, more back than front to be fair because of these pegs. And then they provide a thigh swivel with the ball peg there. Single hinge knee that gets you the full run. Tampo paint, orange paint on the lower legs. We have an ankle tilt down, an ankle tilt up, and a rocker. So that's pretty cool. And also in terms of accessories, you can take your sword and pull out this bit, and then he'll hold it, which is pretty cool. Size comparison wise, there he is with our usual suspects for Legends. So the Stunnicon and Iron Factory Blaster of the old scale. But that's not all this guy can do. Remove the head, set the body to the side. You're left with this. You can pull the legs away and flatten the feet on both sides. And this is actually pretty cool. If you swivel the entire piece around, the head will come. Hey, you. What is this guy up to? What are you doing, Mac? Let's fold that down. And there you have this fella. And arms are just on little ball pegs. He does have an elbow bend for 90 degrees. And you have little ball peg hips, forward and back. And a hinge there for the knee. And then ankle tilts up and down. And even a little rocker on the ball peg. The head itself has blue paint and orange paint. It's also on a ball peg, so you get down, up, swivel, back and forth, attitude, etc. So pretty cool. You know, it is kind of like just makeshifted together. And let me show you something else he can do. If you take his gun, you can lift the cockpit and sit him in it and close it. It must not have it collapsed fully, but then he's like in a little space cruiser, star cruiser. Also, I was going to say that this can also, I'd meant to mention it before, but you can also house the, the batteries in here too, like the battery pack, and it'll light this up as well. And then to continue, remove this orange piece that's super tight from your backpack. Take that and insert it with the bump outs here towards, actually I think you can only do it one way to be fair, but you want to make sure that the bump outs here are towards the white bit on the chest. And then you want the backpack installed, and you want these pieces to come up and over, but have the pegs facing the front, but sit inside. You can't see a thing I'm doing. Let me fix that. So, good thing we have a second one to show, but you basically want these, and we'll adjust them as need be, up, good grief, and over, but you want the pegs facing each other. And then you basically just want to flatten them. So, bring the arms around, but move the wrist so that the fists are facing the bottom. Same for the other side. Arms around, but the wrists are facing the bottom. And flatten the feet. take your gun, open up these two pieces, then you want to make basically an S out of the middle, and then close them back up. Take your sword, and I'll tell you this makes me very uncomfortable, but take the bottom part out for a second, we're gonna get back to that, and then remove the side pieces. And it's a little, this one in particular is a little stubborn. And then you wanna have, I don't know if it makes a difference or not. 50-50, I've never won a 50-50 in my life. Let's go on this side. Peg that in to the bottom. I'll double check which side it is, but you want it something like that. Then apply your gauntlets the same way we did before on the sides of your forearms here. I did have to move the wrist inside to get it, but I don't think you have to, but I did. Tab in your gun here. You might need to get yourself a little bit of room, because basically this is going to come down between here and tab in. Maybe you can see it better. Come down, and it's gonna, these two pieces are gonna clip in around that peg, and then this goes into his chest. So sounds more complicated than it is, but it's pretty straightforward. Attach your side pieces of your sword along the side of his forearm on both sides. Then on the underside of him, take the part that housed the sword for the little guy, plug that in to his backpack, and then these two pegs will meet up with the sides of his feet to sort of stabilize that. So there it is, and I think it works really well. You could put this guy in front of it if you'd like. There's obviously some kind of gimmicks and stuff, like you can use these. I mean, you could use these in robot mode as well. You know, but these can go up and down. You got the missile pods here that can also kind of articulate independently, you know, from war weaponry. You know, I don't know. I mean, all of this stuff with these, you know, big bots and stuff is usually pretty suggestive. It's just a matter of whether or not the suggestion works for you. And I think it works for me. I think it looks pretty cool. I like the look of it an awful lot, honestly. And of course, tiger tracks. All right, so let's go to our next mode. We're going to remove the gun, set that to the side. We're going to move these pieces out of the way so that we can get that piece out. We're going to move our arms down. I am going to remove these pieces right now because I'm scared I'm going to break them. And we're going to move our arms down towards the front. Then we're going to untab our legs, take our piece out, and we're going to, how did I have that? Tab that back in, and we're going to take these pegs here on the backpack, plug them into the side. We're going to collapse this, and then we're going to take off our gauntlets. We're then going to kind of unlock his waist. So I guess that could be a reverse ab crunch, but it doesn't quite work the same. And then flip his legs around to the back, and we are going to, oops, good thing that didn't break. Straighten this. I think you got to open up his feet all the way. So this foot's a little tighter, so that you get something similar to that. I'm gonna just take this off. Then sort of spread his legs a little bit, try to give him a little bit of dignity while you do so. Flip these up and flip your rockets up, and then flip these ramps down. All right, then we take this piece with the orange pieces to the front, tab that in, and then we take our gun, straighten that back out. You can leave these flaps out, and that pegs in to there. All right, then spin the wrists so that the forearms, the bicep swivel so that the pegs here are sitting on the top. Whoop. And then plug in your ramps. You can kind of have them go out to the side, you know. You know, the gauntlets are now the ramps. Do that on both sides. There's little pegs here on the bottom of them. All right, you can open up this piece here and this piece and pull your ramp out here. And then lastly, you peg in your sword pieces into the legs, and I guess you could do it at either spot, top or bottom of the, I think maybe I like the top, so to speak. It just gives it a little bit more character. And that's basically it. I'll clean it up, we'll take a look at it. And there's base mode, and like I added the tip of the sword here to the front, like a little awning over top of the ramp entryway in my mind anyway. And then I added this up here, like the little handle, like that I forgot to take off, because you can make it like a little antenna on top of it. So I don't know, it looks cool. I think these green pieces are supposed to go on the lower level, but I think it looks more intimidating with the kind of bat ears. Yeah, man, this stuff is awesome. Like, I really don't have any criticisms. I'm pretty easy on base modes anyway. I do like the fact that like the side kind of gives a different aesthetic of a base mode. The back kind of has a different aesthetic of a base mode. It's like no matter which way you turn it, it looks like a base and it looks like it has purpose. Little stuff like this, they didn't have to do that, but they did, because they're like the playability of this thing and the interactive element of this thing is obviously very important to them. So this turned out really well. I will show you what it looks like with the little fella in here. You know, still obviously goofy, but you know, I think it works, man. I'm pretty lenient on base modes, to be fair, but I think it works. Let's have some final thoughts. Final thoughts-wise, we'll start with the negatives, and it mainly is solely the tolerances. Like you've heard it, like those squeaky joints. You can't always 100% move the things the way that you would like to move them. On top of that, the stress that it adds on to not only the plastic, but your state of mind as you're manipulating it, quietly saying the collector's prayer of please don't break, please don't break, please don't break, just doesn't do much for your experience in manipulating it as a whole. And this is something that I don't find to be common with Master Made, to have this sort of issue necessarily, but it's definitely present here. But that's really it. I mean, I could nitpick that like the translucent eyes look dead, but the truth of the matter is that's really the only real criticism that I have. Far more positives: the playability, the fact that it utilizes all the 5mm ports and it has a ton of options that go with it, and like the more you manipulate it, the more things start to unlock and sort of come to the forefront of the experience of the figure and what it can actually do and how you can kind of personalize it and make it your own. Is just a lot of fun. It looks super cool. The materials are great. The build is fantastic with the exception of the over tight joints, but the rest of it is great. Good hardware. Beautiful paint per usual with all the tampos, metallics, use of translucents, plus you have the added gimmicks of the light up features if you're into that. It's super well articulated. It's just a really great figure from a really great company, and if you like the character, if you like the company, if you like the line, it's a strong recommend from me, although you've probably already made your mind up because it's kind of an older figure. I know there's a version of it with the statue and everything. That's not the version that I'm looking at, so I can only talk about the one that I'm looking at. That being said, shout out to Gen K once again, and thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.